Mainstream movie review.
The truth is that I want an answer just as bad as all of you.
It's not often that I'm impressed by horror movies, but Weapons really impressed me. Maybe because it doesn't feel like a horror movie. To me, Weapons feels more like a mystery thriller, like Seven, like Prisoners. It evokes those kinds of films. The Exorcist 3, these kinds of mystery thrillers wrapped in horror packages. Weapons follows the story of a small town mystery where 19 children, all at 2:17 a.m., get out of their beds, go downstairs, and then run away from home for no apparent reason. We don't know where they're going, we don't know why it's happened.
We're talking about 17 kids in one classroom. I want to know what happened in that classroom. Why just her classroom? Why only her?
But they've apparently all been abducted by some unseen force. They all run with their arms outstretched. I've seen it compared to the Naruto run, and that makes it sound like it seems humorous. I suppose it can, but it's also wildly unsettling when the pose of their zombified run is with their arms outstretched like this. The film is told through multiple different characters' perspectives. You have Julia Garner, who plays the teacher whose class have disappeared. All but one child disappears. I believe there's 19 students in the class. 18 of them disappear and there's one left. Why is that one left? Then there's Josh Brolin, who plays the father of one of the missing students, and he's doing everything he can to try and investigate this case and to find out what's happened to the students, because he doesn't think that the police are doing a good enough job. And that's, I think, where it kind of reminded me of Prisoners, because that's effectively what Hugh Jackman's character was doing in Prisoners.
Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?
Then there's the perspective of one of the cops on the investigation, there's the perspective of the head teacher of the school, and of course there's the perspective of the little boy who's the one that's left out of all the kids that went missing. And through these multiple characters' perspectives, you get to a certain point of the story and then it sort of resets from another character's perspective. So I really like character-driven things. I really like it when a film focuses on different character perspectives, especially when it really gets into how it's affecting each of them separately, how the situation is affecting each of them, and how they come together at different points in the story. And I think the mystery unravels really well. Even though you're pretty sure you know who the culprit is, or at least who they're tied to, the film does a really good job of giving you little flashes into answers, or what could be answers, because ultimately what is responsible for what's going on is something that could be a red herring in the film. You're not really sure if it's real, if it's a hallucination, if it's some psychological effect of the goings on of the events. And so the film does a good job of keeping you on edge that way. It keeps you interested the whole way because it offers you a little glimpse of something that could be going on, but it doesn't outright tell you until much later. To get into a bit of spoiler territory, when it is revealed who the culprit is, you can't help but find her weirdly kind of likable, because she presents as this flamboyant woman who's actually quite caring and quite sweet, but you also can't help but feel something is off about her. She has this uncanny valley kind of feel about her, where she looks human, she acts human, she speaks human, but not quite right, and you can't quite put your finger on what it is. And the film uses this uncanny valley idea a few times, I think, because there's one scene where, I mean, probably my favorite scene in the whole film, where the teacher, Julia Garner, she's sitting in her car waiting outside the house that she thinks is suspicious, and she falls asleep because she's waiting outside for so long. The door swings open and then someone from inside the house comes out holding a pair of scissors, but she's walking the whole time with her arms extended like this, and she kind of comes to the car in this one pose. And again, it's like, it looks human, and you know it's human, but that is not how a human moves, and that is what this film does so well. It keeps you questioning what's going on, and even though you know these characters are under a spell, they still look human, but they're just kind of not anymore. And then that person gets into the car, and everything happens off screen, and there's something that Hitchcock once said, that the audience's imagination will always be much more frightening than anything that can be filmed. And Weapons, I think, does lean into that idea a little bit. It's so good at keeping that tension heightened through the whole thing. And I know that silent rooms and like loud noises and whatnot are very common in horror movies, but Weapons utilizes silence and quiet so effectively.
Hello? Hello? Yes?
There are so many times in horror movies where there is a quiet room, there's a quiet house, it's abandoned, nobody's there, whatever, and you're just waiting for a jump scare, you're waiting for a loud bang, you're waiting for something. But Weapons doesn't quite give you the payoff that you want. Instead, everything is very quiet. The sounds are very quiet. The rustlings, the movement of characters in the background are very quiet. And like I said, I'm not one to be particularly impressed by horror movies, maybe just because I've seen a lot of them. But Weapons uses its atmosphere so well that there were multiple times during this film where I was internally screaming, "Oh shit!" There is also a little bit of humor layered in there as well, especially towards the end of the film. And since Weapons spends so much time being so tense and being so dark and sinister, that little bit of humor is really welcome. But also, it's not too much where it takes you out of the mood of the film. It's just enough to keep you in that mood, but also kind of lift up the tension a little bit so you kind of laugh at the absurdity of everything that's going on. Weapons is probably my second favourite film of the year so far. Top spot probably still goes to Tornado, which I also reviewed. You can find that video on my channel. But Weapons is easily the best mystery thriller I've seen in recent years, the best horror movie, but even I don't even really consider Weapons a horror movie. Like I said, I consider it a mystery thriller wrapped in a horror package. Solid movie. If you like mystery thrillers, if you like horror, I absolutely recommend you go see Weapons. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more movie content, movie reviews, indie reviews. If you're an indie filmmaker and you want some coverage for your film, do get in touch with me on www.outsidethespotlight.com, or through email that's listed on the website, or through any of my social channels, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and that's it. Also, find Outside the Spotlight on Letterboxd.